Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. I'm John Pollock with all of your news from mixed martial arts. Stay tuned as John Ramdine and Robin Black will be by as we chat all of today's items, including exclusive comments from TUF finalist Kelvin Gastelum. Gustafsson calls out a former champion, and a huge welterweight fight is coming to Fox. The UFC announced on Wednesday that welterweights Rory MacDonald and Jake Ellenberger will be meeting on July the 27th in Seattle, Washington at the UFC on Fox 8 card. Seattle has decided MacDonald's last fight in December, where his arm was raised over BJ Penn, while Ellenberger is coming off of an explosive victory over Nate Marquardt at UFC 158 in Montreal. The TUF 17 finale goes down this Saturday night in Las Vegas, featuring a battle for the UFC middleweight contract as Uriah Hall will meet Kelvin Gastelum, who is the last pick for Team Sonnen and hopes to become the youngest TUF winner in the show's 8-year history, and he knows what he needs to do to beat Hall.
A lot of the guys that he fought, they didn't actually fight him. They were in there, but they didn't fight. They didn't make their fight. So I'm going to go in there and make this fight my fight. I'm not going to let him dictate the fight. I'm not just going to wait around. I'm going to bring the fight to him and put the pressure on him, take him down, pound him out, and hopefully get a TKO or submission.
After a cut above his eye sidelined Alexander Gustafsson from his fight with Gegard Mousasi this past weekend, the Mauler is looking to make a big impact in his next fight. MMAJunkie.com spoke with his trainer Eric Del Fiero and stated that his fighters made 2 requests to the UFC, that he either be a replacement if Chael Sonnen gets injured before April 27th, or he wants to fight former light heavyweight champion Lyoto Machida in his next fight. And finally, the UFC lightweight division is one of many that is clogged right now with fighters ready to fight but no slots on cards. Jamie Varner is one of those lightweights anxious to fight as he has been inactive since his UFC 155 victory over Melvin Guillard in December. Varner spoke to MMAJunkie.com and said that Diego Sanchez is a fight that makes sense to him and would only need 3 weeks' notice to fight. Sanchez is coming off a controversial decision win over Takanori Gomi last month in Japan. And Fight News Now Extra rolls on with John Ramdine and Robin Black. Guys, the big fight announcement, Jake Ellenberger and Rory MacDonald set for the July 27th Fox card. And for those that maybe saw Rory for the first time on Fox back in December, I'm hoping for a bit of a carryover audience, which is something we've seen a bit of a pattern now when it comes to the matchmaking for Fox.
An absolute spectacular match for the welterweight division and for hardcore fans and casual fans. Both of these guys bring a certain intensity to the cage. Rory MacDonald, of course, many people say that he's nowhere near his peak right now, really starting to get his feet wet in the welterweight division. Jake Ellenberger, a guy really at the top of the division, especially with that stoppage win over Nate Marquardt. He's explosive, he's trained well, and it'd be interesting to see how Rory is able to deal with an athlete that has the wrestling abilities, because he's yet to face that so far in his MMA career.
Yeah, for sure. Rory is a fantastic wrestler. Rory is the future, no doubt about it, but Ellenberger could be the present right now. And you know, a lot of these fighters end up looking the same. They all kind of have the similar type of training. Everybody knows the same stuff. There's this similar collection of skills, but these guys couldn't look any more different. Rory is long and lean and he moves so nice. Ellenberger's tight and explosive, and he's very patient now. He used to be overly aggressive, but he's patient, which is going to be valuable with Rory. It's a fantastic fight, and you're right. Putting this thing on Fox is exactly the right idea. Both of these guys are bubbling underneath as big stars, and this will be a big performance for whoever the winner is, and fans are going to dig it.
The only thing I question is when fans get to see this type of these type of fights on free television, pay-per-views become to be a letdown for them.
I kind of like this matchmaking in that at the end of this, it is the question that is always asked is what's next? And Dana White hates when this is asked after. But you know what? That's what the natural thing to do is after a fight. And what's next for Rory MacDonald, should he win this, is George St. Pierre. So I don't want to.
No, not necessarily. I don't think so. I mean, there's a rematch with Carlos Condit. Carlos Condit fought for the title. Nick Diaz fought for the title.
We do fight George,
sure, but he won't. We know
why.
But
why would you, if Rory were victorious over Jake Ellenberger, put him in a situation against Condit where you essentially could just kill off both men here, where Condit's nowhere near a rematch at this point, and then Rory, why put him in this position on Fox where he beats Ellenberger?
Because he wants to be in this position. Your point is a good one. There's no doubt if Rory MacDonald wins this fight, he he is in a position to challenge George St. Pierre for the welterweight title.
Without a doubt. If
Without
this was not
a doubt.
a TriStar fighter, we would be outraged.
Yeah,
if Roy
but
didn't.
he won't.
Okay, true. But we're also arguing that anybody essentially could be a UFC contender and put in that title fight. Dan Hardy was put into that title fight, so you can spin it any way you want.
We're not arguing this,
okay,
with Rory. Is
okay.
anyone going to dispute that if Rory MacDonald beats Jake Ellenberger, that he's ready for a title fight?
Yeah, but we know that he's not going to fight George. We know that.
So what's the point of this? Why can't we just make a decision now that George is either going to stay in this division and Rory moves up? Why is Rory wasting his time then, essentially?
He's so young. Rory's so young, and if you're Rory, and he knows, I mean, everybody knows that George St. Pierre only has a few fights left in him. That's the way he's leaning. He might go in, if he can beat Hendricks, which is no easy task, maybe say, oh, maybe I'll fight another fight, or let's try to set up the Anderson Silva fight finally. They're in the same room. Rory knows that's the plan. If you're Rory, you don't even have to entertain the idea. You can sit there and go, you know what? He's only a fight away. Anyways, I'll beat this guy. I'll go avenge my loss with Condit, and then I'll fight for the vacant
title. Are you guys
title.
100% sure Rory would not fight George?
Yes, I'm 100% sure.
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm 100% sure. Just the dynamic of the team. I know for us, it's a great relationship with both Rory and George, and this isn't what they do. They have a family atmosphere at TriStar, and I know sure, millions of dollars can change things, but I think you can sell Rory. I mean, everybody's already sold on Rory, but you can sell fights with Johnny Hendricks and Rory MacDonald, Nick Diaz and Rory MacDonald, and Carlos Condit, the rematch. That's the fight that was supposed to happen. You're telling me people wouldn't want to see Nick Diaz versus Rory MacDonald, Nick Diaz saying, this guy beat my little brother, so I'm going to smash his face in. Everybody would want to see this fight.
These are
on
entertaining
Fox.
fights, John.
That's
but
what
to
it
me,
should be.
It does nothing for Rory's career to just be dancing around here when you don't have a goal in mind.
Okay, but the fact is, that's what it shouldn't be. We're getting away from what mixed martial arts was intended
to become a champion.
No,
what are
it's
you
not.
talking about?
These are imaginary rankings. So it's whoever the UFC wants to be in there against the champion. The fact is that Rory wants to make money. That's the primary goal for all of these guys, to go out, make as much money as humanly possible. I know the argument is, well, the champion will make the most money, but everybody has discussed this. Rory will eventually get that time, his time in the sun, to become the champion and become the millionaire that he wants to be.
I think Dana White's point is, hey, look, man, if you've got a guy driving around in a $200,000 sports car going to his mansion, you're a 23-year-old kid, that would bother you. And I agree. If George was going to be there 10 more years, Rory would have to be looking at that, and maybe it would get to him. But it's another year or another 2 years, and Rory's so young, he can go make himself a few $100,000 and then go take that
Listen,
title.
we talk all the time about these fighters have a small window of opportunity to make the most that they can. No one gets into this sport to say, I worked with the world champion. They want to be the world champion. And I just see Rory MacDonald, I don't care how young he is, he's at a level right now where he's very competitive right now and could very much present a very big risk to George St. Pierre.
This time next year, we'll be talking about that.
Rory MacDonald, meaningful fights. That's all I want to see, everybody. Or he could lose to Jake Ellenberger, and this means nothing. Fight News Now Extra continues.